Hello, here we are again on a Thursday edition of Physical Therapy Practice Builder. So, hey, I hope everybody's doing great today. I had an absolutely awesome day. I look forward to talking with all of you guys today. I hope that this works. Hey, I guess it is. Nathan, how's it going? Nobody's been seeing some of the stuff that I put up today. My videos weren't coming up, so I'm glad this one is. So basically, what do I want to talk about today? The one thing that you need to grow your practice. Like, this is the thing that I wish I had a long time ago. Tracy, how's it going? The one thing that I wish I had a long time ago. The one thing that I wish someone had told me, Jake, how's it going, buddy? Hope you're doing well. It's the fact that what your customer / patient, they're interchangeable, your patients are your customers, what they think matters more than anything. And what their experience is really, really matters. Hey, Mark, how's it going? What their experience is really matters. What they think about you is absolutely everything. The realization of this brings about a number of things. Number one, you have to measure what they think. You have to collect data and measure what they think. You can't know what they think by just showing up. I don't know why those alerts keep coming up. I have them shut off. But you can't know what they actually think unless you're measuring it, right? There's a number of ways you can do this. I prefer Net Promoter, because there's tons of research around that question, but it's that question, how likely are you to refer a family or friend to us on a scale 0 to 10, right? I prefer that one, but you have to measure what your customer's thinking. Their opinion of you is what drives word of mouth referrals. If you look at anything out there, I forget, there was a post that somebody had earlier where they were asking what the number one way that people got new patients was, and word of mouth. Everybody's chiming in. Hey, John, how's it going, man? Hope you're doing well. Everybody's chiming in and saying word of mouth is the number one way I get my patients. Well, then something to measure that and determine how to grow that word of mouth, some system for that, is going to be your biggest leverage point. If it's your number one referral source, then it's going to be the biggest leverage point in your business by far and away, right? But most people aren't even measuring it. They are not asking their patients for feedback. And when they do, they're not doing anything with it. Like, they use it for like quality assurance on the inside of their practice. They don't leverage what their patient thinks to turn that relationship that they've spent so much time and money building into new business, into new growth, right? So what your patient thinks is the money. It is the leverage point in your business that determines whether you're going to grow, whether you're going to die, whether you're going to, become stagnant, what other people think about your business. Those word of mouth, they drive everything. They drive other connections with other people. That's even outside of just patient referrals, like physicians, they walk into the physician's office and they tell the physician, hey, you know what? I went down there. John's great. Like, he's just an awesome dude. I just love him. I can't say enough about the guy. He did a phenomenal job with me. My back is so much better. If 5 people walk into that physician's office and tell that same story, now what's that physician's opinion of you? You can go in, you can market to them all you want. The relationship with your customer is the most important thing in your business. Forget about getting your next certification or whatever it is. That is not where the money is. That is not where the money is in your practice. The money is in the head of your patient. If you can figure out the ones that aren't happy, figure those out and make them happy, you've turned that into money. If you can stop one negative review from happening by identifying it ahead of time, your practice is going to grow. Mike, what's going on, brother? Your practice is going to grow. Like, you've got to be able to get into the head of that other person. Their headspace is where you need to live. You need to figure out a way to measure what they're thinking. If you can measure it, you can change it. If you can't measure it, you can't change it. You don't know if what you're doing is working or not. Your personal biases start to come in. So everything you're doing, you don't know what it's going to do. You don't know where it's going to go. You have to have some method of measurement, right? Now, a lot of people are using email to measure what their customer thinks. The only problem is your response rate is about 16, 17% that you actually get back. You're not getting in their headspace. You're getting in 16 to 17% of the people's headspace. The rest of the people, the other 83, 84%, you have no idea what they think. You have no idea. So you've got to do something better than that. Text messaging is slightly better. You're up at around, mid 30s, but still the vast majority of people, 2/3, you have no idea what they think, right? That's not good. You can't improve your practice unless you know exactly what your patient thinks. So you've got to measure these a number of ways. Like I said, my preferred method is that Net Promoter Score. So if you're on this live, tell me below, or if you're on the replay, just let me know. And put one thing in here. I want to come back later after everybody's seen this. Are you measuring something? Are you measuring this? Are you doing quality assurance measuring? If you are, what are you doing? How are you doing it? Is it by email? Is it by text? Is it by paper? By some other method? I use an app. I have an app that I created for it. But are you measuring this, right? Then what are you doing with that data? Where's it going? What are you doing with it? Are you matching it up to therapists? Are you calculating this? Are you graphing it? Are you comparing it to other people? Is there any normalized data? The Net Promoter Score has a certain amount of normalized data that you can reach in and use. And again, the Net Promoter Score is that question: how likely are you to refer a family or friend? That's why you see it, because everybody is using it, because there are numbers associated with that, right? So those numbers actually mean something more than just that. There's normalized data that you can look at. So you have to see where you are. You have to see what you're doing. You have to measure what's in the head of the other person. If you're not measuring, you don't know. If you don't know, you can't grow. Write that down. If you're not measuring, you don't know. If you don't know, you can't grow. That's it, guys. You have to measure what's in the head of your other person. Hey, Will, how's it going, brother? You have to measure what's in the head of the other person. If you don't know what they're thinking, you can't improve it, right? And word of mouth is your number one referral source. So if you can grow that, if you can identify a mechanism by which you can grow that, you can identify the happy people and ask them to send you more people. This is the biggest leverage point in your business that people are just missing right now. And, there's people like Jerry, who's, my admin here, that really helped to bring my head into this space, that really got me thinking about this, a year and a half, 2 years ago. And it kind of changed everything. Hey, thanks, Will. Yeah, your word of mouth is huge. It's everything. It's everything. It's what grows your business. It's the number one ROI that you have, bar none. I know. I measure it. My software measures that. I know what my top ROI is, and I'm telling you, there's nothing that is even close. Why? Word of mouth's free. Not really free. You've got to do certain things, but it's darn close to free. And if it's darn close to free, and you can grow that, that's your biggest leverage point in your business. That is where you need to be. That is what you need to focus on. You have to measure it. You have to measure what the other person's thinking. They're not always going to tell you either. We know this. How many times do you ask a patient how they're doing? And they say, oh, I'm doing well. Then I talk to my front office and they're like, so-and-so said that their knee was really sore today. Oh, they told me it was great. Sometimes they don't always tell you the truth. So because people don't want to hurt your feelings. If they're nice, they don't want to hurt your feelings. They know you're working hard. They like you. They don't want to hurt your feelings. But if you're using other things to measure that are removing that personal relationship bias that they have, it gives you more data. It gives you more data. It allows you to improve that relationship with the other person. It allows you to grow and to help them grow and improve. And when they grow and improve, they'll refer other people. And if you use the Net Promoter Score, you know which people you should ask. The numbers tell you which ones you should ask to send you more patients, to send you friends and family, right? If you're not doing that, you're losing this huge part of your business that's sitting there not doing anything. We spend so much time to get people in the door, and we work so hard to create this relationship with them, and then we don't measure it. Like, don't worry about the next 3 letters behind your name. Get in the headspace of your patient. Realize what they want, what they need. Realize what they're thinking about your business. And just a little example of being in the headspace, right? So there's a local company here called Sheets. They're not local, they're regional. They're all up and down the East Coast. They're a convenience store chain. They have 600 and some stores. They're huge. They make almost $1 billion a year. They're a big company, right? So Sheets had a store that was doing over $1 million. Over $1 million profit. And so this store was doing very well. They shut the place down. Actually, Will, I met you there. This is the exact store you and I met in the first time we met. They ripped the place to the ground, shut down for 9 months, rebuilt the place from the ground up, lost all of that revenue, over $1 million in revenue. This store did well over $1 million. So they did like $1 million in revenue. They lost. You know why? Because they measured and they had data that showed that if the customer liked the store more, that they were going to make even more money. So they shut it down. They ripped it to the ground. They rebuilt it from the ground up, spent multiple millions of dollars in this process on top of the $1 million that they lost while they were shut down, all because they had data that showed that the customer's perception of their store turns into money. More money, way more money, right? So we don't have that data yet in physical therapy, but it's there. It's in your practice. It's in your practice. So you've got to measure it the best way that you can and try to make that number move. You have to work on your practice. Try to make that number move. So if you're in that space, if you are measuring the other person's headspace, you can really change things. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't even read some of your stuff. Hold on, give me 1 second. I'll get to you, buddy. So Will, learning about the NPS movement. You can, the NPS is just an amazing tool, that Net Promoter Score. Again, how likely are you to refer a family or friend to us on a scale of 0 to 10? All right. Each segment of that question, we'll get into this more later, is pure gold. It's pure gold. I mean, you can identify your drop-offs before they happen. You can identify if somebody will refer to you. You can identify the people that if you ask them to refer to you, that it's actually off-putting and it's going to ruin the relationship with them. Like, guys, there is so much that you can do if you just measure what the other person's thinking. What is in their head is everything. It will tell you everything about your business. It will tell you your health. It will tell you if you need help. It will tell you if you're dying. It will tell you if you're growing. It will tell you if you need to make changes. It's just incredible. There is so much. Well, hey, I'm glad you like the perspective, buddy. Yeah, but it's, guys, you got to, what the customer thinks matters. To that end, you have to measure it. It's like, it's like trying to improve somebody's knee and not measuring strength, range of motion, girth. You're not doing anything, and then you're like, okay, well, I think we're getting better. I think we're doing well here. How do you know? How do you know? Would you treat somebody's knee without measurements? But you're going to run your business without measurements? Doesn't make any sense. Hey, Mark, buddy, what's going on? Yeah, so you can't run your business without measurements, just like you can't fix that knee without measurements. You need to know if you're improving. You need to know what you're doing, if it's making a difference. If you're not measuring, you can't, your personal biases come in and you're like, oh, this is working. Okay, well, how do you know? Well, because, our numbers are improving. Well, is it that? Yet again, your numbers are improving. You have to measure, right? So there's a number of things that you can do. You can measure on the back end, right? This is what most people do, right? So you measure on the back end. You look at your cancellation no-show rate. You look at your completed plan of care, and your revenue, in varying degrees of ways. But those are all post-mortem. What's wrong has already happened. If patients canceled or if they've dropped off or, if your completed plan of care numbers go down, you're doing a post-mortem. This thing's already dead. Maybe we should measure while it's still alive and try to do something if it looks like it's not doing well. Got to measure, guys. You got to know where to measure, you got to know when to measure, and you got to know how to measure. The first step in that process is identifying what the patient thinks. Patient, customer, same thing. Identify what they think. You have to be in their headspace. You have to be there multiple times throughout this process. Without it, you're flying blind, guys. You're fixing that knee without measurements. You can't really know if you're getting better or not. But that's it. That's all I got for this Thursday. So thank you, Mark, if you're still on. Will, if you're still on, thank you guys for checking in. If you have any questions, please let me know below. Also, please let me know if you guys are measuring. If you're measuring, by how you're measuring. Okay? What questions are you using? How are you delivering the question or questions? Are you doing this via email? Are you doing this via text? Are you doing this paper? Are you doing this via an app? How are you measuring it? And then what are you doing with that data? Please share that below. The more we share that, the more we talk about it, the more we can help. So, hey, thank you guys, everybody. Have an awesome Thursday.